have, remember the other day when we did the zip code sign and we used bottle rings to make our, excuse me, we used those bottle rings to make our numbers. So we're going to be using a couple of those and then just a couple of glass pieces that I cut out of sheet glass. So I'm going to make the word love because it's almost Valentine's and who doesn't want a little love, right? So I have kind of pre-cut some strips to make an L. And then my little bottle ring is going to be my O. And I wanted it all to be different colors. So then we have a V out of pink glass, just out of sheet glass strips. And this is another piece of a bottle ring, 2 pieces that we're going to make a cute little E out of. And we're going to spell love. Isn't that sweet? I sound terrible. Thank you, love. Thank you, Rima. Actually, it hurts my throat to talk. But we're going to do this. And hopefully tomorrow I'll feel better. I am going to go to the doctor tomorrow. But hopefully I will feel better. And we'll be able to do something super fun. Only good through Saturday. Yes, so go get your 12 by 12 canvas. If you are in my B challenge, go get yourself a 12 by 12 canvas so that you don't miss out on that sale price because 70%, honey, that's 70%. Okay, so before we get started, I'm just going to use some of this Aleene's clear tacky glue, and I'm just going to run a couple of dots of, I don't know how to talk. I'm going to put a couple of dots of glue on the edge. So you notice how I'm putting my L on its edge and not flat. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the same with the little legs of my L. Just a few little dots. If you use too much glue, it takes forever to dry and it's just too gunky. If you use a little bit, it dries super fast and there's not like a flood of glue. Thank you for the sprinkling, Diana. I appreciate you. Warm water with peroxide. Oh my goodness, that sounds awesome. Sandra, my problem is that I cough 1,000 times a day. So no matter what, my throat is on fire because of the coughing. And at night, it's 100 times worse because I lay down and I cannot breathe. And I choke and I cough myself into a frenzy. So I'm going to bring my O, I almost said zero. I'm going to bring my O up a little bit just to make my words a little bit wonky and not perfectly aligned because, you know, I'm crazy and I like crazy stuff. So I think on the V, I'm going to do my E first and then I'll stick my V in because I want to make sure they're kind of lined up right. And that way I can figure out where I want my V to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just, yeah, it's pretty sore. Go ahead and get a little dab of glue on my E. So we'll get him about the same distance from the edge as that. Now we'll add some glue to this side. Did I show you guys what we made last night? Oh my God, hang on, I gotta show you. OMG, look at this. Is this not the cutest thing ever? This was 2 pieces of vase that we busted and then made a cute little heart. Is that not cute? You know what, Gigi? It feels like I have 2. I got sick at Christmas and I can't get rid of it no matter what I do. Okay, so on our V, I am going to just see what I can squeeze in. So I'm going to put a little glue. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. I can't take it anymore. Cannot deal with it. So I'm going to bring that V down a little bit. Kind of, you know, so all the letters are a little off. And then we'll just make it a little silly V. Marcia, I do not. I actually bought these off of eBay I wish I had rings to sell, but I do not. I'm not good at cutting rings. And so I have to purchase them because I suck at that. Okay, that doesn't want to stand up, so we are going to do it just like that. It's got a little bump on the flat side of that strip of glass, so it doesn't want to stand up. So we're going to just leave it flat like that. And now, what do we have? All you need is love, right? Love is all you need. Okay, so yeah, look on Etsy, Marcia. So check Etsy and eBay and just do a search for glass bottle rings. And you may get lucky and find some. The people in my group have probably bought all the rings that are out there, but you might get lucky. And also look for people who, yeah, it kind of makes it stand out more, doesn't it? Look for people who are doing wind chimes, because that seems to be where I've been getting my rings, as the people who, they cut the bottle and then they put it in a kiln to soften the edges. And then, excuse me, and sometimes they have mishaps or pieces that don't turn out perfectly for their wind chimes, and then they use, they just sell them, toss them, whatever. So look for that as well. So glass bottle wind chimes, glass bottle rings, do a search for stuff like that. Oh, Rima, I love you. So this is our day 4 Valentine's project, and we are going to just go ahead and get our resin going. So I'm going to push this up just a little, and I've taken the time to already go in and look. Who was it yesterday that told me on these little bitty things to mark it with a black marker? Look what I did. I marked it with a black marker. Now, I don't need much for this. I really didn't even want to mix as much as I have, but I have a 1/4 ounce of the art resin and a 1/4 ounce of the hardener. This is what I use. What I use is art resin. It's a 2-part resin, and it's a 50-50 mix, and you have to measure. You can't weigh. So you use 50% hardener, 50% resin, and so you want to measure those in 2 cups so that you get a really accurate measurement and don't have any boo-boos, because if you mismeasure, you're going to be sad because you're going to have a sticky, gooey mess. So I have part A in 1 cup, part B in the other, and I'm just going to mix them together. I'm going to pour one into the other. They're perfectly measured. Pouring and measuring in 2 cups helps with your accuracy. So if you're a first timer or you're, fairly new to resin art, you're always going to mix in 2 cups. That way you don't have any boo-boos, because resin ain't cheap, sisters, and you do not want to be wasting that. Also, I'm going to say this. Whatever resin you're using, you need to follow the instructions for that resin, because not all resins are created equal. Some are go by weight, some go by measuring. So you want to follow the directions on whatever resin you're using. Thank you, Rima. Are you ready? So now here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start stirring. We have to mix this resin for 3 minutes. So I'm just going to start stirring with my little coffee stir. And I'm going to scrape the sides to make sure all that resin is intermixed, scraping the bottom. And I'm going to scrape and stir really slowly for 3 minutes so we incorporate as few air bubbles into our mixture as humanly possible. And then I'm going to take a drink. Rima's going to yell at me because I'm not stirring. So we're going to do this for 3 minutes. And while I'm stirring, and Rima's going to let me know when time's up, I want to remind you again about our 5-day challenge and give you a little more info. our 5-day challenge starts on February 17th, but that doesn't really matter. We're going to go live every day for 5 days starting February 17th. But if that's not a good time for you, that's okay. You can still join us. You can still register. You can still buy a kit because all of our videos for all 5 days will be recorded and posted inside our very own, our very own private Bumblebee Honeybee Facebook group. So you'll be able to watch those videos at your convenience, whatever is best for you. Which means basically you can make your bee with us, or you can make your bee next month, or you can make your bee next year, or you can make your bee every day for the next 100 days. It don't matter. You have access, once you register, you have access to the videos and all the information as long as I live. Well, I shouldn't say that because, you know, I might be alive and, you know, not have a brain. I might have Alzheimer's or something. Speaking of which, and I'm not making fun of Alzheimer's. My grandfather had Alzheimer's, not making fun of that at all. So please don't crucify me for that. But as long as our page is up and as long as we're doing our thing, you're going to have access to that. It's only $10 to register. And then you get all your own supplies from the supply list that we supply you. And if you want a kit, that is $49, and it includes the. Are you telling me I'm done stirring or to stop not stirring? The $49 kit includes the $10 registration fee. So it's really the $10 registration fee and $39 for the kit. And you get everything you need to create your piece of art except for your canvas and 5 or 6 of the paint colors that we're going to use for our little bee. So I don't understand the words. I'll get them on. You're right, Regan. I'm like, and I need my blocks too. Yeah, see, thank you for keeping me on my toes, ladies. I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. I got you. I hear you, Rima. I know. Lord, Jesus, take the wheel, man. I'm just used up. I cannot wait, Rima, speaking of fun things, I cannot wait to show you what is in our February workshop for the Shattered Circle. We are about to have some fun, guys. So you need, yes, the kit is almost the whole cost of the, yeah, because it's going to probably take you about $70 to buy all the things if you just buy them yourself. But if you already have resin, then, you know, that's probably a big part of it. So we are having boot camp opening soon as well. Our 4-week beginners boot camp starts March, I think it's March 2nd. And then our Shattered Circle is opening again in April too. And we're so stinking excited about it. And there's going to be a few changes that we'll tell you about when it's time. But we're super excited about all the things that are happening. And don't forget, if you sign up for Jennifer Allwood's Creators Circle or Creators Roadmap, my words are terrible. If you sign up for Jennifer's Creators Roadmap, which I think we all need if we're running a business, then you get boot camp free. All you have to do is sign up, register, let me know that you registered using my little link that I posted, and I'll post it again later. And we're going to get you in the boot camp for $0. That is a value of $129, which is what our boot camp is going to cost come March. Are you ignoring me? Time is up. Oh, okay. Okay, so let me put my gloves on because I didn't do that yet. Who could ignore you, love? Yay, Joanne. We're so excited. Boot camp is so much fun. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I know. You would think I'd just stop talking as bad as my throat hurts. You'd think I'd be quiet. Woo, woo. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up on blocks in case I have some drippage, and we don't want any of the resin dripping down onto my canvas or, you know, sticking my piece to the table. So let me see. I want to make sure, I have to wait a second. I want to make sure that you can see the piece. So I have to wait for it to catch up. Let me show you. Okay, so you can see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put resin on the edges of all my letters so I make sure that it's covered really nicely. I hope so too, V. So I'm going to start with just drizzling that resin. And it's not going to take all this resin at all. I knew that when I mixed. But it's really hard to mix much less than like a ½ ounce, which is what I mixed. I mixed a 1/4 ounce of resin and a 1/4 ounce of hardener. So it's really hard to mix much less than that. And plus, I have a piece of art I need to put some resin on anyway. I actually need a lot more resin than what I have mixed, so I should have just mixed up a couple ounces, but that's okay. It won't go to waste because this girl does not waste resin. And this girl teaches all the peoples how not to waste resin because resin is the biggest expense in glass art. So we like to save money by learning how to cover our art pieces without wasting a ton of resin. We ain't all about that. So let me put it on the V. Yeah, boot camp is full of everything you need to know to be a successful glass artist. So that's what boot camp is. I like to do the challenges because it allows people to do a piece of art really inexpensively to see if that is something that they actually enjoy, so that they don't have to spend a lot of money and then say, well, I didn't really enjoy that. So, and then boot camp is really informative and helps you learn all the ins and outs and do's and don't do's of using resin and cutting glass and all of that fun stuff. It's pretty much anything you need to know to be a successful glass artist. And the Shattered Circle, which is our monthly group, is all about creating. So we just have a big time, love and support other artists, and create lots of fun things every month. So that's how it goes. So it's like a step up. It's like a success path. So first we want you to test out with our challenges to see if maybe this is something you like. And if you do, then you move to the next rung on the ladder and you take our boot camp so that you know what to do and when to do it. And then the next thing you do is join us inside our group and have all the fun all the time with all us Shattered Circle girls and boys. We have boys. Okay, so I've got all my glass covered. So now what I'm going to do is just drizzle around the empty spaces so that I can spread that all over my entire piece of wood so it's all consistent. Especially when you're using a piece of wood like this, and you can see where I'm drizzling it that it's a little bit darker, and that's what the resin does. And that's why I said if you're working on wood, wet it with water first so you can see what your end result is going to be, so you're not surprised. You don't want to be surprised by the outcome. So I am just going to turn that upside down right there real quick and let all that run out for a second while I start moving the resin around with my hands all over the flat surface of my little board. It's soaking that resin up big time. So we are going to use every bit of that Yes, it does. And when you're working with glass, even on canvas, it just makes all the glass colors pop. It's so beautiful. Fell in love with glass art. Gosh, when was it? 2010, 2011. And I was like, I saw it and I was like, I have got to do this. It's so much fun. And it always surprises you what it looks like in the end. And, it just never gets old for me. I have a good time creating my little pieces. So I'm just smearing around the resin that I poured willy-nilly onto my board. And the wood is soaking up the resin a good bit, so don't be surprised by that. It's fine. Just let it do its thing. I'm going to move this up here. And it's because wood is porous. If you don't want that to happen, or if you don't want the color change in your wood, see how it darkened it up and gave it a darker, richer color? If you don't want that to happen, you'll need to seal your wood before you pour your resin and do your glass. You move this over here. So sealing it would keep that resin from soaking in so much. I just don't care. I like it. I like it a la natural. Hey Emma, how are you? So I'm just pushing my resin around, making sure everything is covered. I'm going to get in here and get all those last bits out. So we used basically a half an ounce, because I had a 1/4 ounce of each. 1/4 ounce of hardener and a 1/4 ounce of resin. So a total of half an ounce for this 12-inch by 5-inch board. What did I do with my other cup? Throw it away already? So I'm going to real quick give it a once over. Make sure I got a little place right there it's not covering. Give it a little once over. Make sure all of it's covered. It's going to start soaking in. So when you're looking at it, when you're doing something on, hey Darlene, when you're looking at it close up and working on your piece, and you see that it's soaking in, please don't let that bother you. That's just what it's going to do. If it does bother and you don't like it, just make sure you seal your wood first. But don't be surprised when it starts soaking into the wood. Your glass is still going to stick down. You're not going to have any problems. I assure you. I've done these a bajillion times. So now I'm going to take my gloves off real quick and hit this with a torch. I'm not going to torch it too much because it really won't make a huge difference, because wood is porous and it's going to be contracting and expanding, and so it's going to incorporate air bubbles anyway. It's not going to be perfect. But I would just use like a spray sealer, like a rattle can of like polyurethane or something like that, and just seal it, maybe 2 coats. Let it dry between coats, and just a couple of coats of sealer, and let that dry really well before you do your art on it. So I'm using a propane torch. You don't have to use anything as obnoxious as this. You can just use a heat gun, or one of those small little kitchen torches. Hey Heidi. Like a creme brulee torch. They're really small. But the main thing is you don't want your flame, to whatever you're using, to touch your piece, okay? You don't want it touching your wood. You don't want it touching your canvas. And you want to keep your flame moving at all times so that you are not burning your art piece, because resin will burn. And you won't know it until the next day or a few days later, when it starts to turn yellow in the spot that you burned. So we're just going to do that just a little bit, because it's kind of a moot point, because it's going to bubble up again anyway, because that's just the nature of the wood. So here is our love. I'm trying to find it in my phone. There we go. Here's our love, and it is so cute, isn't it? So what you can do at this point after it's dry, this takes 12 hours to dry, is just drill you a couple of holes, and then you could put a wire or like some jute, or you can just put a hanger on the back, or you can leave it just like this, and it can be a little shelf sitter.